Hi, I'm Elysia Stobie, your Mortgage Millions mentor, and I am so excited today. Anna is back. So Anna was kind enough to grace us with her presence in the spring, and we had overwhelming positive feedback based on the interview we did at that time. So I wanted to check in with Anna and see what's going on with her. And of course, she blew me away by starting with her numbers. So we will put Anna's link and information in the details below so you can reach Anna. But in the meantime, we'll let Anna give you just kind of a short, before she talks about all her numbers this year that are amazing. Let's have Anna tell us a little bit about where she's been, where she's going, and who she is in the mortgage industry today.
Well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me back. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed our time last time. It was just amazing speaking with you. So, Anna Ruotolo, I am branch manager and senior loan officer. I've been in the industry. I think I know I hit 38 years. Is that not crazy?
That's amazing.
I know. I'm sort of in shock. I can't even admit it almost. Yeah, 38 years. July 16th was my 38th year in the business. I've been truly blessed in this industry, and I've had the opportunity to just do some amazing things. So I just love it. And to make a career of it has just blessed me and my family. And I've been able to bless a lot of people, both clients and actually quite a few loan officers in careers that I've created over the years. So super fun being in this industry. So everyone out there that's committed to this industry, it will serve you well if you serve it well.
So and I love that. Go ahead. That's so important because you say if you serve it well. Like this industry about getting what you can get, and it's great because we can all make a lot of money. But you really have to have a serving mentality, I feel, and it sounds like you do too.
Right. So. Yeah, they're not transactions to me. They're, they're people. They need help. They need a solution. They have a dream. They have a goal, and I want to be there with them. I don't want them to be a transaction to me. That would feel sad to me.
Me too. That's the way I feel as well. And it's so important because I feel like once you put the client first, everything else falls into place.
Correct. Right? Absolutely. Because they can feel it.
Yes. And so you're not trying to get a deal.
Yeah.
Do you have any deals for me? I just can't even say that to just so cheesy. So sorry, go ahead.
Oh, so we were just going over numbers and I started quickly calculating. So as far as volume, I mean, it looks really, really good. I mean, so I'm proud of that. Last year, I ended up just over, 62 million. It looks like this year, by end of October, I'll already hit that 62 million. So that's fantastic. I'm really proud of that.
So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So obviously this year in volume, I'll surpass that. If I go by a normal run rate, I mean, I'll probably hit in the high 70 million, something like that. But you brought up a great question to me. What's more important to you, units or volume? And I know, okay, so I remember the days when to be $1 million producer, it was tough, In my area right now, it's not tough to be $1 million producer anymore. So I've always been very aware of unit count because I want to know I'm doing better. So that said, I have to really hustle the last 3 months of this year to make sure I hit my unit count, because I'm either going to be right around the same number or I might be a few under. And that will actually sort of, I have to look at that. Like, why was my unit count down? Obviously, my loan amount has gone up. So, and my loan amount by my numbers really quickly that I ran are up about $100,000 a loan. That's really nice to see. But I have to really focus on those units. I want to make sure I am hitting the units because I want to make sure I get my market share. I don't want to rely just on the appreciation of the market.
That's a great point. So, I mean, it's been a great year, thankfully. So let's talk about, yeah, amazing. So let's chat about that a little bit. So you mentioned that in your area, your loan amounts, you work with a lot of first-time home buyers, so your average loan amounts are slightly lower than, maybe other loan officers out there. However, that says a lot about you because it's been a tough year for first-time home buyers.
Yes. Yes.
So what have
we
you been
counselors right now?
Yes. So tell me about that. What have you been doing to talk with them about, actually getting their offer accepted?
Yeah.
It's been so challenging and frustrating, and they're realtors too, right? We often
Oh yeah. The real estate agents are just, they're getting beat up just as much as the buyers are, right? So, it becomes being compassionate with them and staying passionate with them. So don't let them get burnt out in the process. Don't let them get too frustrated, but keep them reality based. In my area, so I'm in Northern California. Some areas they're bidding $50,000, $100,000 over on properties. So we have to have a real, conversation about that. I do use a lot of tools to help me do analysis for the clients. So I'll show them things like what the bid over ask tool, something like that, to show them when they think it'll be that value, or maybe it is. So I'm doing a lot of valuation information for them. I'm doing the rent versus buy analysis for them, the cost of waiting analysis. So I'm trying to give them analytical and then giving them the emotional support of, I know this is tough. Let's just stay true to your vision and your dream. And then, of course, I'm doing everything to help them, right? So getting them fully pre-approved, writing them strong letters, calling the listing agent, emailing the listing agent, just trying to get them in as great of a position as I can from our side. Of course, a lot of our buyers are going in without contingencies, and I have real conversations with them about that, because there are some that can, and then there are some that really shouldn't, right? Not the loan contingencies so much, because if I'm doing my job correctly, I should be confident in my guidance to them, but I can't control an appraisal, right? I can't control the outcome. I can do lots of research, but I still can't control that. And if my borrowers are getting in by the skin of their teeth, we just have to have an honest discussion about that and maybe create the plan B. What if the appraisal doesn't come in? What, how much off can you get a gift? Can you have 401k you can borrow from? So yeah, working with first-time home buyers, it's really been hard, but it's really where my passion lies. I love seeing someone getting into real estate and starting to create their dreams and their wealth and changing their future. So
that's phenomenal. And it's so interesting right now because, you mentioned create their wealth. And I think some people have a glimpse of that as first-time home buyers, and many do not.
Right.
I don't know if you remember how old you were when you bought your first home. But I was 24, and I just knew I wanted to own my own home. I didn't understand anything that happened at closing. I remember they just, they said, sign here, it's like sign here and you get the house. And I just remember being so naive. Mortgages is my second career. So, I wasn't in the industry when I bought my first home. I just remember being so overwhelmed and really not having, we closed on time. So, that piece was all good, but not having a whole lot of guidance,
right.
Which maybe that's why I decided to write my book. You know what I mean? Or it's often, I think sometimes when we feel not, and I wasn't angry or upset or anything like that. I just didn't really know. And then looking back, I was like, holy cow, I had no idea what was going on. Sometimes when we feel like we've really just not gotten a great experience, and again, it wasn't bad. There isn't anything negative I would say. But looking back, I could have been so much more informed.
Right.
And obviously that's on me, right?
Right. And also don't forget, we didn't have the internet as much as they do now.
Yeah,
So,
and they didn't even have mortgages for dummies. Like it was
correct,
that long
exactly,
ago,
yeah.
right? There are no for
Yeah.
dummies. You
So,
know, there weren't those kind of educational materials available. So,
but I do still think though, even with the internet, we have to be that person for our buyers.
absolutely.
You know, we have to be able to make them feel comfortable, let them know what's the next step. This is what this means. Who is escrow? What's a wire transfer? I mean, just there's so much that gets thrown on them, especially those first 2 weeks. You know, their head is spinning, and we have to be the ones, in my feeling is we have to be the ones that help them through this process and explain every step. And because some of the things we think are just second nature, they've never heard before in their life. So, and I
Well
talk to
said.
my staff about that too. Don't use acronyms, you know, like I need to get a VOE. Who's your, yeah, it's like, huh?
Yeah, I need to verify your employment.
Yeah, you need to bind your insurance. That's another common one. And I keep telling my staff, they do not know what bind your insurance means when they're a first-time home buyer.
Well, and even if they're not a first-time home buyer, they may not know. I mean, if you know, if somebody's buying right now and they haven't bought in the last 3, you know, or more years, they're really
Right.
not gonna. I mean, and it's a good thing that because technically, then they are a first-time home buyer, right? Because that 3-year window, you know, we're all up to date. Everything's changing all the time, every day. But a lot of times, you know, your average client absolutely is not.
Right.
But just to circle back, I thought your point was so great because if I look back at when I bought my first home, I wasn't even 25 years old. And if I look at what that did for me financially, it was huge.
Right.
It was huge.
Absolutely.
So it's very, I really appreciated that you mentioned that part of it because I thought it was so interesting. So let me ask you this as well. In addition to educating your first-time home buyers, how's it going with educating the realtors? Because I find, you know, there's a lot of rookie realtors in the market, and they're not always readily open to hearing feedback on how to get their clients' offers accepted. So how do you approach that? What do you suggest?
So first you have to find them, right? And right now it's a little bit more difficult to find them. So the one thing I've been enjoying this last year is I've been participating in the marketing meetings that the real estate agents have, the areas, you know, via Zoom. So I've been doing the Zoom meetings, and you know, loan officers, spend the $150, be the gold sponsor or whatever sponsor it is, get your speaking time to them, right? It's such a small investment to be in front of that many real estate agents and let them see you speak professionally. So those Zoom events for real estate agents, that's been great. So that's a way of when I get my speaking time to talk about, right? Here are some ways I can help you. Here are some things I can do for you, right? I can hold virtual classes for you. I can do cost of waiting. I mean, you know, I list all the benefits that I could have for their clients, for them, classes I could do. I stayed very consistent in doing first-time homebuyer webinars via Zoom. So I'm still having at least once a month. Actually, tonight at 6 o'clock California time, I have a first-time homebuyer webinar. So, you know, so you take those opportunities to promote those. You get seen through Zoom at as many events as you can, you know, and then that's how you have to start finding the agents that you can start working with if you don't have enough agents that you're working with already. Oftentimes there's managers that need help because they know who their new people are. So you can approach the manager and say, do you have any new agents? Can I do a webinar for them? And that's another great way of getting in front of them.
That's brilliant. So that's a great inside secret. Thank you. So while we're talking about that, what are your tips to improving your relationships with realtors?
Probably the biggest thing is just being totally transparent with them. I don't know how many times a real estate agent has called me and said, you know, they said my client qualified for this or did that and didn't tell me about this, and suddenly they're just in a mess. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
I don't think we always have to say yes. You know, if the client has hair on the, you know, just tell them about the hair and tell them, here's the hair we have to deal with. This is what I have planned. If the borrower does this, you know, sometimes we just say yes too much and we get ourselves in trouble. So you can't have, you know, an honest, great relationship with a real estate agent if you're not going to tell them everything, like, you know, within confidential. You don't have to tell them, you know, but so that's one of the things. But doing a great job talking to them, keeping them updated, offering your services, asking how you can help them. I mean, I had lunch with one of my real estate agents the other day, and she's very well established, but I could tell she felt stuck. And I'm like, where do I need to help you hold accountability? And she told me exactly. And I said, okay, so I'm going to call you and I'm going to ask you, you know, did you do this? And she's just like, so sometimes just talking to them and letting them process with you, letting them tell you where they need help. And we have this image in our head that all they want is money from us, you know, and they don't. I mean, a lot of them want the support of, could you do a first-time home buyer webinar? Often, many of them have never even done a webinar. So to hold their hand and walk them through doing one of those for the first time, right? Helping them with flyers, helping them with things they can post on their social media. I upped my game in social media 100-fold over this last year, because I figured if I can't be there in person, I'm going to be seen on social media. And so I've, you know, upped my game a lot on social media. So I have a lot more real estate agents following me, sharing my posts, and learning things from them too, right? So
that's phenomenal. It's interesting. So we did a survey, and one of the things we found out is that loan officers' biggest challenges are getting repeat business from their realtors. So, and what I've seen, and I get this a lot from LOs. Oh, well, you know, I closed their deal on time. I don't understand why they didn't send me any other referrals. And I just thought, like, that's the base minimum of your job, right? That's not how you build a relationship. That's not how you get referrals. I mean, you have to show up in a serving mentality for your realtors, not just for your clients. I mean, these are the top two, right?
Right.
Your client and then your referral partners. So it's just been fascinating, because this is one of the things that we're seeing that's a real problem for LOs, is that every month they're out there trying to recreate the wheel and build relationships with all these realtors. So they got a hold of one on the phone. They maybe had coffee or did a Zoom meeting. And then they either never got a deal, or they got a deal and then didn't get another one, and they just don't know why. So I would love to hear your feedback on that, because it's been, I mean, it's to me, it was actually shocking how big a problem it is.
I totally agree with you. I think it's a huge problem. And I have to tell you, I'm not 100%, I'm not even 50% perfect on that. I mean, I'll tell you, know what I mean? It's like, I know who my core group is, and I try to, you know, stay in touch with them and make sure that they get my first, you know, everything, and I treat them well, and I try to, you know, do different things with them. But it's a constant struggle. And I think it's because as loan officers, as originators, we're so wound up in, you know, task, first of all, you know, get the loan going, pass it off to our team, go get another loan, that sometimes we forget, wait, I need to exit this and go into this mode of develop, make feel good, you know what I mean? Go into my, I don't want to call it sales, but somewhat of your sales mode, where you need to go cultivate, you know, versus just attacking and doing transactions, right? So it's, so sometimes that's why I find it better to separate those days. If I am in an absolute, like Mondays, I would never try to develop relationships on Mondays. Mondays are like my crazed days, right? I'm not in the right mindset to do it. I'm in a, what's closing this week? Where are we at? What do we need to do? So maybe by like Wednesday, Thursday, those are better days for me for, developing relationships, feeling super friendly and wanting to cultivate relationship and talk to people about them, So, and I think that's probably one of the issues loan officers have is how do they get out of one mode and into another, or they might not even know that they have to do that, right?
Well said. Good point. Yeah. So sometimes, I mean, I find one of the easiest ways to change your state is, well, always do something for somebody else, right? If you're having a challenging day. But if we're talking about transitioning from one activity to another, I mean, like let's talk about that real quick. So time savers, like chunking what you're doing, right? If I'm just calling, that's what I'm doing for 2 hours. Then if I'm, working on loans, then that's what I'm doing. If I'm, so, and that's something where I think, or I'm answering emails. I'm doing that for 15 minutes in between, delegate in between those two activities.
Yep.
But I think, physically, because that's another thing now, right? We are in more than ever. We may not be, driving around in our cars, but, taking that time to, I don't know, get up, stretch, do whatever you need to do before you go on to the next activity is helpful for transition. So when you talk about those sorts of things and making that difference, I think it's so important, because otherwise, if your head's not in the right place, there's no way I'm going to create relationship,
Exactly.
So, and that's super important. So speaking of that, do you have any great time savers that we can share?
Well, you just mentioned it. I do the chunking. So I'm positive I probably spoke about this last time. So when I am in, lead follow-up mode, I'm in lead follow-up mode. And that's what I was actually just doing this morning. So I am just, as you know, I keep my CRM. It tells me exactly who I need to follow up with. And I just get in there and I just dive in and I'm in lead follow-up mode only, right? Mondays are my current files mode. So I just really attack my current files. I want to know what issues I have, what I need to do. I update everybody. I set the plan for the week, for the current files. So that's what works best for me is I like to create my blocks, my days based on what are the activities I need to do. So I do have, my time block, and I don't call it time block because I usually operate more by days, right? So when I want to be calling on my real estate agents and developing those relationships, that's on Thursdays is when I have that on my calendar to do, right? Lead follow-up is on the Tuesdays and the Wednesdays. And then my pipelines on Mondays. So I do it that way. I know a lot of people do time blocking. If that works for them, it doesn't work for me. I just don't find it efficient. I will tell you one of the best things that I brought about since we've been operating from home is my online calendar. And I know there's a lot of online calendars, but once I created that online calendar with the different appointments that clients could make, or real estate agents, or even recruits in my case, my amount of appointments increased probably about 3 to 4-fold.
Wow. And when you say appointments, is that with actual clients or realtors or both, or?
I would say between real estate agents and clients, more so with clients.
Fantastic.
And that's because I'm giving them the control. You're cutting out does Wednesday at 2 work for you? No. Can you do Wednesday at 1? No. Can you do, and I'm just giving them total control, and it's, I give them the call, So that has been one of the best things, is creating that online calendar and letting clients choose that. Now, as a warning though, make sure you have your calendar marked to when you do and don't want to work, because a couple of times I forgot to mark holidays off, and clients are thinking, great. I can, because they're not working. And,
Right.
and I was like, oh, shoot, I didn't really want to work today. So you do have to remember to do that. But that's been one of my biggest time savers, just because it saves a lot of back and forth. It saves a lot of, they know exactly how to go schedule it. They could change it if they need to. That's been fantastic. And then you combine that with your online loan application, and it's like gold. You know what I mean? They apply online, you have the time scheduled, you're talking. So then you could be developing relationship with them versus being, a typist and just a secretary and taking information. So
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I love the online application.
yeah,
I
it's been
agree.
great.
Yeah. So, and it's interesting. The only really, and it used to be maybe older generations had more of a challenge with that, but I don't see that anymore,
Yeah, it's diminished quite a bit.
Absolutely.
So,
So speaking of that and building relationships from with your clients, what's one of your best tips for getting more referrals from your existing clients?
so I'm going to talk about my existing clients, like my past clients. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. I have to tell you, one of the things that we do not do well as an industry is call our past clients and stay in touch with our past clients. And I think that's where the gold mine is. That's the biggest gold mine. I have my past clients all divided up by their last names so that I know on certain weeks who I should be calling. So I'm rotating through my past clients, calling them all the time. I don't have to ask them about, their rate. I know their rate. So if I'm calling them, I might just be checking in, like, did you get your dog? How's your house? How are the holidays? Whatever, you don't always have to talk to them about a mortgage, right?
Right.
The other big thing I've been doing, which is, I know it's going to sound silly, but it sort of differentiates you a little bit. I've been sending the personal birthday cards. Handwritten.
I love that.
I send the handwritten birthday card. It just, I think people are getting more away from written correspondence, and probably some of my millennials or, a little bit older, they probably don't check their mailboxes often, but it's okay. I'll still surprise them when they see a card from me.
Yeah, it's funny. I sent somebody a thank you note the other day and they're like, oh, I don't ever check my mail, but every 3 weeks. And I was like, well, cool. You got it. You called me because you got it. Right.
I think that you can thank people a lot. You can never thank people too much, right? So besides my thank yous, like that I send via email and stuff like that, I do follow up with a written thank you note on every deal to, the listing agent, the buyer's agent. I like the birthday cards. Whether it's old fashioned or maybe old fashioned coming back into new fashion. I just like the fact that it differentiates me, because a lot of other people have given up on writing personal notes. And so if I'm trying to not be transactional and I want to be in a relationship with them, that's why, I think writing a personal note, a personal birthday card, shows that I'm just going that extra step for them.
I agree. So that's interesting that you also write a note to the listing agent. What would you say in that note?
Oh, easy. Congratulations on the closing of 123 Main Street. It was so wonderful working with you and your team. My team and I enjoyed, working with you. You're such a professional. I would love to have another transaction with you soon. Can we set up time? So I usually actually won't write that in a note, because I would usually call them and ask them that. But, I'd be like, I hope we can have another transaction soon. Look forward to talking to you. And then, simple like that. You don't have to make it too intense or anything. And I'm not going to go for the close in the thank you note. But I do want them to know my name. Even if you don't get business from the listing agent, which I do have quite a few that I have won over the years, but even if they just recognize your name when they get one of your buyers, that helps a lot. So
yeah, I think that's huge too, because apples to apples, it's so competitive right now. And if they came in with the same offer and they know you and they don't know this other LO, or they're not local or whatever, Yeah, it's huge. It's a big, big deal. I
Right.
couldn't agree with you more. Well said. Awesome. So those are some things to do right. What sort of mistakes do you see happening in our industry right now?
Probably, so as loan officers, not taking a complete application and not talking to the client to identify the red flags, and then you get the surprises. I have a very big save the deal right now. As soon as I got a copy of the application, I could see the holes in it. And I was just like, I could tell that the loan officer didn't take the time to really talk to the client.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, and that is some of the problem with the online applications, but that's why I never just take an online application, and you always have to talk to the client. You have to make sure that, so just not knowing the red flags and identifying those red flags up front is really what saves you from having a file explode, right? That's probably one of the biggest things I'm seeing is just, not taking a good file and not really knowing the file.
And is that more a function of the LO just thinks since they got the online application that it's all good? Or is that more like a rookie error or just sloppy because the LO got busy? Or what do you think?
I think it's a couple of things. There's some loan officers that have been trained that's not their job to.
But that's where you kind of get to dig in and build that relationship, because
correct.
You want to hear all the bad things, right? So you can,
and I want them to trust me enough to tell me all those bad things.
Yes.
So that I could guide them correctly, right? And it's funny what you'll hear them slip in, like they'll just say it very casually, and you're like, can we just go back on that? Like, so you could get the money. Where's the money? Oh, well, I have some cash lying around. I'm like, okay, we can't deal with that. We can't bring that. So, but they'll let, when you start talking to them, they'll start letting you know what's really there. I mean, I have a loan I was just working with, and he forgot to put in that he owned a condo. Oops, a lie, and I start talking to him. And it's like going, oh, yeah, no, I have this, because anyways, but you just have to start talking. You have to, if you do that up front, right, then it saves you a lot of time.
Yes.
Saves you a lot of headache. And, and then just totally present the package, don't try to hide anything. So
I think the other part about that too, that's so interesting, is that's where you mentioned trust, and that's how you build a great relationship, and that's how you grow your business and grow your relationship with your clients and your realtors. Because you talk about, and I mean, the people that just take the loan app online, I mean, that's a good start, but that's a start. That's not, it's not where you want to go.
Right. Well, or I mean, you might, if you want to go that route. I mean, there's a lot of really great online mortgage places, right?
True.
So, if a loan officer decides that's the route they want to go, then that's fantastic. For me, and like my passion and my worth and my, I want to be in relationship with my clients and my real estate agents. I want to know them. I know who's getting a dog, I know who's pregnant. I know who just had a baby. I know who has cash right now, So yeah, that's important to me. And that's like just how we started this whole conversation. I don't want to be a transactional loan officer. I want to be a relational loan officer. Now that might limit, maybe that's why my units are off a little bit.
So last couple of questions. Thank you again so much for sharing your time. I know you're super busy, so thank you.
No problem.
So if you had to reboot, right, and do 90 days from scratch, whether you need to redo your business, blow up your business, start again, or you're a rookie starting from scratch, what would you do in the next 90 days?
Wow, that's a huge question. Okay, so I'm figuring I have all the basics in place already, right? So I have my online calendar, I have my online application, I have my social media going. And okay, so I guess I should say that. So by the way, I hired a firm to record all my social media. It's me, but once you determine your hourly wage, and maybe it's my age, I don't know how to make those really cool videos. So I hired a firm to do them all for me. And then like every day I just go in and I, post. So it makes it super simple. But so I would have my marketing plan ready in
Okay.
advance, right? I'd have my technology, of course. Make sure you have your CRM. So that you have your task follow-up. Then I would start researching who I want to be working with, not just by numbers, but by personalities too. Calling.
Awesome tip. Thank you.
You're welcome. So then it just becomes, calling, creating appointments, calling past client. Well, you don't have past clients yet, but right, calling real estate agents, creating your CRM, making sure that you're keeping on top of that, doing your social media content. Probably one of the bigger things I would reset is I would train myself better to turn off my email and do my core functions.
Okay. Great. Get rid of those distractors.
Yeah, I would train myself a lot better to be one focused versus trying to multitask. So those are things I've had to I'm continually trying to learn to do better at. So if I could start that way, it would be fantastic.
Awesome.
What else would I do in a 90-day reset? That's a fantastic question. So are we in the house or are we out of the house?
It's up to you. It's your 90 days.
I want as many people to see me and hear me as possible, as quickly as possible. So whatever means I have to use to do that, if I'm hitting all the marketing meetings, if I'm hitting every real estate office, if I'm doing it on social media and, then putting that in, real estate blogs or whatever, that would be one of the key things I want to do. Is I want to be seen and heard and known as quickly as possible. So I guess that could be a combination of a lot of things, right? Meetings, social, calling, visiting, everything.
Interesting. I'm wondering how effective, from what I hear, it still is very effective, business networking international as BNI. I had used that before when I relocated to rebuild my business. I'd already been in the business for several years, but I relocated to a different part of the country and had to start over. So first 90 days, that could be pretty important. It doesn't work.
I have quite a few of my friends that are in BNI, and they seem to do really well at it. I don't know as many mortgage people, to tell you the truth, but I know a lot of people that are in the service industry, as far as carpet cleaning or things like that. They do very well at it. I would think it would be a nice leg in to get introduction to a lot of people and exposure, and then also being able to talk about yourself and your product and the way that you operate and your ideal client and everything. So I would not say that. I would say that's probably a great thing if you can find a BNI that has an opening.
Yes.
Yeah, because mortgage and real estate, I think, are always the first two taken, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Interesting. So, okay. Anything else you do in the 90 days? I have one last question for you, but I want to make sure you got all your great ideas out for that one.
So one other thing that I've had to teach myself is to stop getting distracted. So I am now at the point where I know the tools that I like to use, and I know the activities I like to do and that are successful for me. So I do not get distracted. Well, I try to not get distracted anymore. Every once in a while, something will make me turn my head, but I know my tools that I use with my clients, right? I know my CRM system and I use that. I know my social media. So I'm not going out and learning new things. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, I don't mean like I'm not open to learning new things, but there's so much out there that you could be on a continual hamster wheel, just checking out the newest thing and the newest thing. And so I'm going like, I'm just going really deep in those things that I've totally committed to. So, you know, the tools that I'm using for my clients, I'm deep in. I know, you know, all the things, all the analysis I can run in there, right? My CRM, I am super deep in. I'm 100% committed to my CRM and tasking myself, you know. I'm real estate agent driven.
What do you use for your CRM? Sorry.
We use Total Expert.
Okay.
Yeah. And so before we were on a different one, we migrated to Total Expert. It's been about 2 years now. And any CRM, it takes time to get used to it and to make it yours, right? So that it's comfortable for you and you can operate in it easily and everything. So, but whatever CRM it is, it's just a matter of you diving in and using it and staying committed to it.
Absolutely. Okay, great. And one last question. Do you have any tips for building wealth and longevity as a loan officer?
So you have to, as far as I'm concerned, you have to practice what you preach. So we are in the business of, you know, real estate. So you have to own a home. I mean, you know, if you're going to be in this industry, you have to believe in it. I wholeheartedly believe it. I own properties. It's what I'm committed to. So I think you know, you have to create wealth, you have to be in real estate. And then of course, you know, save money. You know, don't overextend yourself. Don't get distracted by I mean, it's nice to have one nice car, but you don't need 5 nice cars if you're not at that level yet, right? Nope. I mean, you might be at a level where you're fine with 5 nice cars, but you know, especially at the beginning when you're getting started and suddenly you get that one big check and you're like, woohoo, and you know, you know, try to stay lean for as long as you can. Buy a home. It has to be your first goal as, you know, as a loan officer, it has to be your first goal. And then just don't overextend yourself. Just stay, because if the times change, you want to be able to survive through it, you know. So yes, that's my feeling. So
I couldn't
max out your 401ks too.
Yep, absolutely.
And then find a great financial planner.
Yes, yes. And I wholeheartedly agree with you also as far as investing in real estate, because that's what we do, right? If you're not as well, or at least own your own home, it's very hard,
right?
I feel like, to be congruent.
Yeah, and it's different when you're talking to a client about buying rental properties and they know, I say to them, I own rental properties and here's what I've done. And they're like, oh, you do? You know, and then they start picking your brain about that, you know. So when you are practicing what you are preaching and teaching, it just makes it more authentic and it gives you more credibility and just more knowledge. I mean, right? You know, I'm more knowledgeable because I have rental properties and I know the day in, day out issues with that.
Agreed. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Tell everybody where they can find you. Now that you have social media handled, where can people find you?
At Anna Ruotolo and at Anna M. Ruotolo. So you can always find me Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Yeah, whatever that one's called.
Instagram, fantastic.
I'm not TikToking yet, so maybe one day, but I'm trying to not get distracted.
Yes, well, jack of all trades, master of none. However, there's definitely some, you know, when you can repeat those social medias when they're similar, I totally agree with you. So awesome. Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me again. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for being able to share your time with us. I know it's very valuable to you, and I'm just grateful that you took the time to come on and share your insights with us today, and I'm humbled. So thank you, Anna. Thank you very much.
All right. All the best. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.